From select board.
The Word one?
I think that one, yeah.
Okay.
All right, welcome everyone to the March 17th joint meeting of the Wenham Select Board and Wenham Finance Committee. Present for the Select Board this evening are myself, Chair Ben Timmon, Vice Chair Gary Cheeseman, and Peter Clay. Deirdre Parati is not able to attend tonight. She is recovering from an illness, so we wish her well. And Chairman Sprague, I don't know if you want to open your meeting. Sure.
We'll call to order the Wenham Finance and Advisory Committee here at 6:32. Present Finn Sprague.
Bob Vatic. Jared Ward.
I cannot see online whether or not we have any other members online, but we have enough for a quorum.
All right, so we'll start our select board meeting as we always do with public input. This is an opportunity for members of the public, whether in person or online, to spend up to 2 minutes per person speaking on any subject that they wish that isn't otherwise specified on the agenda. So if the item is on the agenda, please wait to make your comments until we reach that item on the agenda. But this is an open forum for anything else that people would like to speak to. Are there any members of the audience here in person who wish to speak? I don't see any, and anyone online who has their virtual hand up. That's how we would ask those of you who are online to indicate that you'd like to speak. And seeing none, that will move us to Town Administrator's update and town announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple quick updates tonight. One is on Tuesday, April 21st from 3 to 4:30 at Reynolds Farm. The rain location will be here at Town Hall, but they're going to be, it'll be an interactive exploration of nature-based solutions for the Miles River watershed, a way to discover climate resiliency and what it could look like in your community. And secondly, we are next Thursday, March 19th at 7 p.m. It's also on the light board, but right here in Wenham Town Hall, we're going to be having a public information session hosted by the Wenham Climate Action Sustainability Committee. This will go over the specialized building code. It will include presenters from the state and also individuals from the Wenham Climate Action Committee. This is certainly timely because it is a warrant article at this upcoming annual town meeting on the evening of April 9th. And it's going to go over all the ins and outs of the buildings, the specialized building stretch code. So it'll be a great opportunity for folks to get their questions answered coming into town meeting. And that's all I have tonight.
Well, is that going to be on Zoom?
Yes, Zoom and in person.
Great.
All right, thanks, Steve. Karen Anger last week resigned from the select board, and I wanted to thank her for her service on the board and to wish her well. At our next select board meeting or the following, we will have a discussion on the agenda regarding the process for the special election that the board will consider scheduling in consultation with our town clerk to fill that vacancy.
I'll just add one item to the schedule. I believe it's tomorrow at noon. The COA will be hosting a guest from the Securities Exchange Commission that will talk about frauds and scams and so forth. So a good one for all people to attend.
Nothing.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. One is approval of open session minutes from January 6th, 2026. The other 2 are one-day liquor licenses for First Church. Does any member of the board wish to set aside any of those items for individual discussion? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve items A through C in the consent agenda as printed in this evening's agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We'll take a roll. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Thank you. That brings us to, moving right along, memo from the town clerk regarding the annual town meeting and annual town election. Town Clerk Diane Bucco, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for letting me come. Just a reminder that our annual town meeting is Thursday, April 9th, at 6 p.m. at the Bennett Center at Gordon College. Check-in will start at 5. The meeting will start promptly at 6, so we ask people to come between 5 and 6 to be ready. All registered voters will check in using the poll pad, and they will receive a voting card and an electronic clicker. Guests, including town hall staff, media, or any children, will need to be signed in as non-voters. The annual town election will then be the following Thursday, April 16th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. here in Town Hall. The ballot is now finalized. No one withdrew yesterday, so our ballot is full. We have 8 races and 2 ballot questions. All that information will be on the election page of the website as of tomorrow. The voter registration deadline is not the same as it is in Hamilton, just so people are aware. Our registration deadline is March 31st, Monday. So if anyone is not registered voter in Wenham, you want to get that done by March 31st. Vote by mail applications. If you cannot be at Town Hall on election day to vote, you can vote by mail. You need to apply for that. And the last day to apply is April 9th, which I think is also a Thursday, because it's town meeting day. But the sooner the better. Mailing things these days take a lot longer, so you want to make sure your vote counts. There are no scheduled in-person early voting periods, but over-the-counter absentee voting is always available if the criteria are met. The tabulator test or ballot test will take place on Tuesday, April 7th at 10:30 here in Town Hall. It's a great way to learn how the voting systems work, and it's open to the public. And lastly, the Board of Registrars is looking for a Republican member. So anyone interested should reach out to me, either by email, by phone. The Board of Registrars is an essential committee, but it does not have a monthly commitment. So it's not really a heavy lift if any Republicans are listening right now. And with that, I'll take any questions, comments, concerns, anything fun.
I just see your need there. I could use help in promoting the ATM and ATE via social media.
Yes, I do need a little bit of help. I'm not very good on Canva. I can't make really fun little things, so.
Not to volunteer somebody who's already overworked, but Kate Mallory could probably help.
Someone who's not overworked. That's definitely Kate. That's not a problem. Thank you, thank you.
Just one question, Diane, as far as the Board of Registrars go, is it the case that there are Democratic party seats, Republican party seats, and then nonpartisan? Can you just explain just how membership
There has to
works?
be a split. There cannot be uneven Democrats and Republicans.
I see.
So presently, we have an unenrolled, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, and then myself. Our Republican needs to step down, or his term is over, so we're just looking for a replacement.
What does the board do?
The Board of Registrars, by law, has a lot of responsibilities, but these days, most of them are done by the town clerk, but they are primarily now responsible for any residency hearings or any election recounts, which have been very popular in recent years, and I don't see that going away, but that's their main position.
All right, any other questions? Great, thanks,
Awesome,
Diane.
thank you so much.
All right, so we have 5 minutes before we start our next item, Agenda E, so maybe I'll knock out a couple of quick ones. These ones I think will be quick, starting with item K, discussion and potential vote on the installation of batting cages at Pingree Park per request from the Hamilton Wenham Little League.
Yeah, Joe's been working with the HDC and the Little League group here, so he's gonna go over, give you the overview.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So this came before the HCC last month. They unanimously approved a certificate of appropriateness. Essentially, the Hamilton Wenham Little League, they're seeking approval to construct a batting cage at the softball field closest to Route 1A at Pingree Park. Essentially, this is to help sort of ease the burden of sort of carrying the equipment. The softball team, the girls softball team would have to go basically walk across the field to the Cheeseman side just to bring their equipment. So this is, the hope is to help avoid that. And I've been working with Jason, who is here tonight, and I think he had a couple slides to show you. Essentially, this the net would be taken down in the off-season. The poles would remain affixed in place. Very hard to see from Route 1A, but there is a small portion that can be seen, which is why it triggered HDC review. But again, they've unanimously approved it last month, and tonight the Hamilton Wenham Little League is just looking for the select board's blessing to construct this batting cage. And I believe we have Jason here, if that's okay. We can
Yes.
have him- Hi, Jason, are you there?
Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but the audio from your end is muted if you guys have been talking.
We can hear you, but not too well. Some audio issue, feedback of some kind.
Then our HW Cam, can you confirm the audio is working?
Nothing's muted.
I think you have to be a panelist. I'm trying to promote. To
Oh,
panel.
okay. Yes.
So I had it promoted to panelist, but now it's back to attendee. So you just click on this and then click over there so when it's done.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Should be good now.
Great. Jason, can you speak again, please? Hello, Jason?
Looks like he's muted.
Okay. You guys can hear me.
Can hear you now, but there's quite an echo in the background.
We can hear you now.
Sound is off, right?
I think the message is not for us to call.
I just muted.
You are.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. The audio on your end is really sharp. It's almost like screeching noises in the background.
Why don't you go ahead and we'll listen to you and we won't speak because at least when we were before we were getting an echo, maybe we're not now. But why don't you go ahead, Jason, and give your presentation until the audio, unless the audio prevents it.
So the audio, we go through Hamilton Wenham. So I muted ourselves because it kept repeating, but that's what Jason is hearing. So there is another mic on, but I can't figure out which mic is on, and that's the reason why it's repeating.
We were able to hear him a second ago, but
He can't hear us
oh, okay.
because I'm muted. No, if I unmute. The audio goes through Hamilton Wenham.
All right. Well, why don't we're going to have to move off of this agenda item in hopes that we can get this solved, and it is 6:46. So we're going to move back to agenda item E, presentation on the Iron Rail Solar Project, jointly with, which is also a presentation to the Finance Committee, and Kate Mallory will be doing that in person, where we'll be able to hear her loud and clear.
Yes. I do have slides. In the meantime, if you want to come over tomorrow and get some instructions on Canva, I'm welcome to do that for you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to point out that we have Dave Doggett.
Great.
Presence, and all 4 of the 5 members.
Thank you. Unless we can fix that in the next 30 seconds, can we reclaim the screen for Kate's slides?
We just test it one more time.
So, looks like Deb Evans has her hand up.
We're unmuted on Hamilton.
She no
Wenham.
longer has her
You're
hand.
unmuted.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. That audio is much better now.
All right, our apologies, Jason. We need to keep to a particular schedule, so we're not going to do your agenda item right now, but we'll get to it in due course.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I just couldn't hear you, and I saw all the stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your patience. And we have our land use director, Kate Mallory, here to discuss the solar project.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. You can go to the next slide, Michelle. Thank you. All right, so I know most of you are familiar with the iron rail, but I thought we could go over first the existing conditions here.
Are we seeing your whole slide?
Is there a way to make it a little bigger?
Okay.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So at Iron Rail right now, we have the soccer fields, we have the cemetery area, and we have this main area, which is the Iron Rail building, the Boy Scout barn, the parking lot. There's a garage back here that's now used by maintenance. There is the softball overflow Little League field right here. There's a water tower and the Wenham Highway Department. That's currently what's there. Go ahead, next slide. So in July of 2023, the town hired Dobson and Flinker, a consultant company, to go through and do a best use study for the iron rail. There was a lot of community engagement with this. Not going to read through all of this, but site visits, public meetings, charrette, as Mr. Timon likes to say, a community survey, community interviews, and meeting at the town of Wenham. So that study was concluded in February of 2025. Next slide, please. And really what it came up with was that this site, if you can tell, all of this purple stuff is wetlands, those lines. So the site, even though it's a large site, does have a lot of constraints to it. They separated the site into 4 different areas for possible development. And the area we're talking about now is right here. And so you can see that the baseball field or the softball field that's right here is mostly in an area that cannot be developed. So there are wetlands that are in the tree line up here, and we have a 50-foot no build from the wetlands. There's also a stream over there, so there's regulatory restraints for that area right there. So we took that out of the scenario, and anything that would happen to this parcel of land, this section, is out of this solar area. So basically right now, this area is not generating any income and has no potential for future development. Next slide. I think the biggest thing we want to realize when we do projects like this is, will these projects be visible to residents? So from Grapevine Road, you will not be able to see the project at all. It's right behind DPW. There is one house near the project. This is the home. And if you can look and see right up here, these like windows that are there, those windows, if you look at the line here and where the windows are here, it looks like this is kind of either a vaulted ceiling or more than likely attic space up here. So next slide.
Have you actually talked to them?
I have not. Didn't go and talk to them. So what I did was I walked the whole ball field looking towards that home, which is, 700 feet away. It's through a very forested area. There's a stream, there's wetlands. The only spot where I could even possibly see the house, and the house, right now, all the leaves are down, so this would be the prime time to see the house, was from this spot right here. So when I stood out in right field. Michelle, next slide, please. So this is where I'm standing, and I'm looking, and this little dot right here is that one of those peaks. So it's really probably from their attic where they could maybe see about 10 feet of the solar array. So should be no concerns from the street and or from the one resident that's near the area. Yes, Bob?
In your left-hand picture, what is that structure that's over?
That is a very large water tower,
Oh, okay,
and that is not being moved.
okay.
Yep. All right, next slide. So why did we start looking at spots for ground-mounted solar to begin with? I think I started looking maybe 18 months ago. We did look at different sites, including Reynolds Farm. The town pledged to be net zero by 2040. Our current municipal load is 540,000 kilowatt hours, and this system will offset 349 kilowatt hours. So that's almost 65% of the municipal load. So a great start to our 2040 pledge. If we go the credit purchase route, this will only cost basically my time, my staff time, and town council's time. All right, next one. So there are two routes to take if we do this project. The first is this credit purchase agreement. With this, I don't know how details you guys want to go into, and I'm happy to talk a little bit further, and we should have someone from Select on if we need more information than I can provide. But basically, what it says is, next year we're predicting $16,839 per kilowatt hour will be the cost of electricity for us. They're going to give us a price of $13.55 for the next 25 years. So we'll have a fixed cost for the next 25 years. What they think that value is 2.5% increase in electric costs a year. Traditionally in Massachusetts over the last 20 years, the increase has been 3.35%. So this is a very conservative estimate right here. We expect this number to actually be higher, but they always do their projects conservatively at 2.5%. So you see the solar savings starts off a little low and then ends a little higher at the end of the unit's life. Next slide. So the other option is a purchase, all right? So if we did the purchase, you see right away there's a little bit more profit into this, although there is also a lot more that goes into it. So we'd have to buy the unit for $1.169 million. There is a federal tax credit out there for about $300,000 if we meet certain parameters before July 3rd or 4th, when the big beautiful bill stops that tax credit. Also, Massachusetts has incentives right there. So starting off year one, you're going to make $320,000 a year on this system, and that's including the amount that you you would borrow for, and then including in that $300,000 right there, that federal tax credit. So this, depending on how we did this scenario saying that we were going to do a 20-year loan at 4.5%. So that would be the debt service on that. So next slide, Michelle. So I think the two major things that are different is for the purchase, we would have to put up that 7%. I think you guys probably remember that we were talking about the solar canopy that would have gone here, and we had to put up a certain amount of money. For the credit purchase agreement, Select has already bought the panels, and so they've already put up their 7% for that project. If we decide to do the purchase, we then have to go and put up that 7%. So we would need about $82,000 to get this going. We'd need that by July 1st. And then obviously the loan. The purchase also puts us in charge of operations and maintenance, where the credit one, Select, is in charge of the operations and maintenance. We take on the risk if something happens with the panels, where Select takes on the risk if something happens with the panels in the credit purchase. Yes, Bob?
Is the operation and maintenance the same in both cases? Or are we more at risk in one than the other?
So basically what happens is they modeled it where the operation and maintenance costs are the same in each model. But if something happens, a meteor hits the site, Select would be in charge of maintaining and fixing the system.
Would they be paying for it, or?
They would be paying for it, but only with the credit option. If we purchase it, we now own it and we're in charge of fixing it. Now we can hire Select to maintain it, which is more than likely what we do. And I do have to say, Select doesn't care which one we do. They're fine with either option. I think they make about the same amount of money with either option. Select is the company and that we would be partnering with on this.
So we've already decided who we're going to partner with.
Yes, and I can tell you why in a second, but there's a reason.
And then when you say credit, I don't understand what you mean by credit.
So we don't actually get the cash when we do the credit purchase agreement. We say on year one we'd owe $50,000 a year for electricity. We would get money off of our bill. So you don't see the cash come in, but you're saving that money. So so say we budget $50,000, but we only spend 40. You know that $10,000 is the credit.
So you're leasing the system to Select under that?
Yes.
Okay. And then the system generates the credit, which you tender to National Grid or whomever the provider is, and then they give you a deduct on the bill?
You got it.
Okay. And that's all on a contract?
Yes, and we've been negotiating the contract for probably 6 months back and forth. It's been a slower process. We're near the end, but happy to show that contract around too.
Is the credit purchaser Select, or is it National Grid, or the?
Select is the one that produces it, and then National Grid buys it. And then we get the discount from it.
Through the lease?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so there's no upfront cost under the lease option. We retain the land, the town retains the land?
Yes.
Okay, does a 20-year lease?
25.
25, and then the credits are trued up, what, monthly, annually?
Monthly.
Monthly?
Yep. So we have something
Okay.
similar to this at the Hamilton Wenham Library.
Okay.
And our energy manager, Vicky Masson, does all of the credit stuff with the bills.
Okay. And how did we decide to work with Select?
Next slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Go ahead.
I wanted to follow up on the finance side.
Sure.
Did anyone do a present value analysis of the cash flows that you've got in these projections?
No. I saw that as your question, and I don't know what that is.
The difference gets bigger and bigger as the discount rate goes up because of the structure.
Yeah.
The related question is, has anyone determined whether there's any difference in the way the rating agencies view a lease commitment versus
a debt commitment.
Do you know the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think that I don't know the answer to that.
You probably don't differentiate
Yeah,
that.
I would think not, but I can't give you a definitive answer one way or the other. I've never posed that question to them.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you leading to a recommendation here?
Yes. I think the credit purchase agreement takes the stress off staff time in managing a project like this. And also, I think the purchasing makes the town more vulnerable if there are issues that come up with the system, where Select would be in charge of that if we did the credit purchase agreement.
Which is what we did with the library.
Yes.
Are the credits state legislation, federal legislation, in other words?
There's two different kinds.
Okay.
So there's the one, that $300,000, that is from the federal government, that's from the infrastructure bill. That was taken away by the Big Beautiful Bill, which was signed on July 4th, 2005. So it will, and the tax credits will end by, I don't know if it's July 3rd or July 4th, 2026. And then there's also a Smart 3.0 credit. Those are the Massachusetts credits that we receive.
So, which credits are we counting on? No,
All of them. No,
But federal's going away?
the federal's going away, but we have to lock it in. So
Meaning we can be grandfathered?
we can be grandfathered if we put that 7% down, that 80-something thousand dollars
By July 1st.
Under the purchase, but
under the purchase.
the lease, there's no, we
The
would be
lease, we're
locked.
already locked in. Select has already bought the panels, we're already locked in, 550 kilowatt panels. The
We would
other
be-
thing about the purchase is that the Big Beautiful Bill says any panels bought now have to be FEOC compliant, which is Foreign Entity of Concern. So the panels cannot come from China, cannot come from Russia, North Korea, or Iran. All the panels come from China, so they're expecting, so Select already bought a bunch of panels and have said, here are yours, so ours are saved. But if you decide to do a purchase, we now have to go out into the market and buy FEOC panels, which could increase the price and negate the $48,000. Yes?
In an earlier slide, you were showing the rate at around 16 cents is kind of the going rate.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that that is the generation cost, not the transmission cost of the power?
That I do not know. I don't know the question of that,
So
that answer to that.
The reason I'm asking for everyone's edification, usually when you look at your bill and the town gets its bill, there's a cost to generate the electricity and a cost to transmit it to your structures, whether it's a resident or a house or a building such as this.
Mhm.
And that 16.5 cents looks like the half that's related to generating the power. So you're still gonna get a bill from National Grid for the other half, the cost to maintain the grid. That's my
Yeah, and that makes
assumption.
sense, yeah.
So this is not going to completely erase, but that's just based off of what you're showing me here.
Mhm.
I'd like to confirm that, but that 16 cents per kilowatt hour seems very low
See, that's the-
for
Yeah,
for the whole cost.
yeah, Michelle, can you see if Norman's on?
Yes, he is.
All right. Hi, Norman, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to join the discussion.
Absolutely.
My name is Norman Kumalo, Vice President for Government Relations and Market Development at Select. I'm here in support of the request that has been proposed and put in front of you tonight. I will also be joined later by John DiMatico. He is the BDM for the project. With respect to the last question, the individual asking the question is correct. There is a supplier rate and a generation rate. And I believe I did not see the 16 that was referred to, But yes, there is a distinction between the supply and the generation rate, and the generation rate will continue to, sorry, the supply rate with the generation rate will continue to be part of your bill.
So this, it sounds like the cost is the same for both of these options. You're gonna get that bill for the transmission costs. And so it's, we don't have to take that into consideration as you decide one or the other. You're still gonna get the exact same charge for both of these options. You should recognize that you're not gonna get a $0 electricity bill for these kilowatts that are gonna generate. You're still gonna be paying for the come from National Grid's power system delivered. So, and the other question that was, I was interested to follow up on how we chose Select and whether or not we bidded it out to multiple. In my experience with solar, if you go the lease option, you end up not putting any money up front. It's very easy for the municipality to make it happen. It's very easy, but you usually leave a lot of money on the table. And so when I see the numbers that you were just showing a second ago, saying that they're about the same, and I think it was $1.1 million total cost. That's about $3.50 per kilowatt of capacity, which seems very high to me. So I was interested in understanding how we went and got comfortable that the purchase option at $1.1 million was not significantly higher than it could have otherwise been.
Yeah, so I can start with that, and then maybe Norman can jump in. Michelle, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so we are part of something called the Power Options Program, all right? So we pay to be a member of this nonprofit group. This group has 500 municipalities, schools, and nonprofits. There's about 150 municipalities that are part of this group in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Hamilton's also part of it. So we've been working with this nonprofit company for a while. Basically, they have the procurement power because they help companies get about $200 million of energy products a year. And so they go out to bid, and they, just like the state of Massachusetts, will go out for bids, and then you can use them because they have the biggest buying power. This nonprofit does the same thing. They go out to bid, and they do all of that for you. And then they also help you, and they will go and look at your numbers and say, hey, are you doing this properly? Are you getting the best thing that you can? So for example, with the solar canopy that we were trying to have outside here, I was talking to Joe and Steve one day when we were all in this room together, and I'm hearing the pricing of that canopy, and I'm like, oh, that sounds a little high compared to this, right? And so we put it to the Power Options people, and they said, we can do this cheaper because we've gone out for this RFP already for you. So that is a case when we went out for an RFP. We went out to bid on this ground mount solar project, added on the solar canopy. And so we, a little town of Wenham, who doesn't have a lot of purchasing power, got a price from a company or a few companies. But this nonprofit that has a lot of purchasing power and went out to bid for us, basically. So that is how we feel pretty positive that these are the best numbers instead of going out to bid. It was saving, I think it was $300,000 that they were able to save us compared to what the price we were getting from the open market. Yes, Bob?
Question, you mentioned earlier that if we don't go with the lease arrangement, we lose the solar panels. What's the additional cost of going with purchase those panels? What's the dollar amount that's involved here?
Norman, do you know exactly how much the panels would cost? I know that all we'd have to put down the 89,000, I think it was, but I don't know if that's how much the panels cost.
No, what you were saying that because of the recent law change, we'd have to get some other sourcing of the panels from them.
Yeah, we don't know yet. More than likely, the panels are going to come from South Korea, but we don't know the cost of them yet. We would take the gamble and have to figure that out.
And Kate, as far as that goes, we would not be able to use the Chinese-made panels that that Select already has, if we do the purchase option, or if we do the purchase option too late, that July.
We cannot use if we purchase, we cannot use the Select panels. They're using it for their own customers that are with the credit purchase agreements.
I got you. Okay. So if we go to the purchase option, we know that we would have to go out and source panels from South Korea or somewhere else.
And Select will do that for us, but there's no guarantee.
Well, and the cost,
they could be less. I mean, they could be less, but more than likely they won't.
As far as if we were to do the purchase option, the federal tax credit would be available, but only if we act before July 3rd.
Yes.
Or something. Okay.
I'm still trying to understand, I like the credit option very much. And I'm, like Finn, I'm surprised that they're very equivalent. And the more equivalent they are, the more valuable I think the credit purchase option is. But I don't quite understand the structure. Who's the lessor? Who's the lessee? In other words, we still own the ground, and the array is going to be constructed on the ground. Who's going to own the array under the credit purchase?
Select.
Select will own the array.
Right.
So we have quote-unquote credit risk with Select on a long-term basis, which if their obligations are to maintain the system, produce the electricity, and tally up the credits and make sure we get them.
Yes.
And okay. So the only default would be, let's say, in possibly over 25 years, is if they fail to maintain the system.
I think the biggest risk you take is that they go out of business.
Yeah.
And then right now.
Who owns the credits under that? Can the town then say, hey, wait a minute, we'd like a new operator here, we want to continue getting these credits?
Yeah, and that is all being negotiated in the contract right now.
Okay.
There's also a situation where that Select would put up a bond, and they're in front of the planning board right now for site plan approval, and the planning board is figuring out where they would say the year that the bond would have to stop for decommissioning, just in case Select goes out of business.
I'm
So it's
not
being.
quite sure what the bond would cover. It's the performance obligation?
Yes, no, it wouldn't cover the performance obligation. It would cover the decommissioning of the panels, so getting them off our land, basically.
So if Select defaults, I would just like to make sure that our only remedy isn't take your panels and go home. In other words, we'd like to continue to get the benefit of the panels from a subsequent operator is my only concern under this long-term. We don't have the benefits of ownership, but we want to maintain the benefits of the long-term leasehold. So that's what I'm not quite, I would just like to make sure that the remedy is not simply take your panels and go home if Select defaults.
Right.
I would just like to make sure somebody looks into that.
Okay, definitely.
Because it's a very we should have the ability to find an alternative owner.
Yep.
That's I think that's very valuable if you could have that in the contract. Kick out Select for non-performance, but retain the benefit of the lease and not have that go to, if they're bankrupt, the bankruptcy trustee taking the panels and going home. You don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, and we could talk to town council about that. There might be some issue that if they put up the funding for the panels, we might not be able to take them back over, but it's definitely worth.
I understand it's negotiable, but to the extent that you can at least try to have one of the remedies being, please go home and we'll rent this to somebody else for $1 or something like that.
No, I'm happy to talk to town council about that. Yes, Bob?
In answer to Jared's question, the $48,000 difference that comes from looking at just summing the cash flows, if you PV at 3%, it's $119,000, 4% it's $138,000, 5% is $155,000, 6% it's $171,000. So it's the structure of the way the payments come in that changed it, affect the difference, so that the difference is bigger than it appears to be just by looking at summing the cash flows. I have a question for the ending condition. What's the likelihood that this array will be actually functioning and useful beyond 25 years? Because my understanding is the alternative is they remove it, that we get to purchase it for fair market value, or some negotiated piece, which I didn't understand in the responses that came to the question. So what's the outlook in terms of, is this stuff going to be obsolete? It's running down its ability to generate electricity as time passes. So what's the likelihood that we're going to want to keep this after 25 years?
Yeah, Norman, do you think you could take that one?
Yes, and a couple other questions that were asked. The technology employed in developing solar panels has improved tremendously. And in the discussions we have had with other communities, the idea has been looking at how the system could be repowered or replaced. So yes, there's an option to buy back, there's an option for us to pick up the panels and go away, but there's also the option for us to look at repowering the system and what that might take. That's the answer to that question. There was also a question in terms of what happens if Solect doesn't perform well. There are a couple of instruments that are traditionally included in contracts that we sign. There is an insurance component to it, number one. And number two, there's also a performance guarantee. In other words, we'll guarantee that the system will perform at level X. And I think that's why in most cases we end up picking up the operation and maintenance just to make sure and ensure that we continue to have the system performing at that level that we agreed that it will operate at. And then last but not least, there was a question regarding power options. I can share with you that as committee members, I'm sure you're concerned or you have an interest in the governance piece. The governance piece in terms of our relationship with power options comes into play in as far as power options reviews our accounts, our project budgets, and they make it a point to ensure that we stay within the limits of the profits that are identified through the procurement process. So there's that additional component where power options is actually looking at the costs as the project is moving forward and ensuring that we stay within the limits set by the procurement process.
Great. Thank you, Norman.
So just to follow up on that, so that's helpful. I think that and you already made a note of this, Kate, but I think for us to know exactly what the language is likely to be in the agreement for events of insolvency, precisely what would happen in the event of insolvency, I think goes to your question, Jared, and is probably
just nice to preserve optionality as to
right.
Not be forced to buy back the panels or just
Right.
But it's not good because there is technological. I have solar on my house. There is technological obsolescence over time. So ironically, if the thing went for 10 years and they defaulted, it might not be a bad thing. In other words, because you still got the panel mounts there, and it's like, okay, bring in some new panels,
Yeah.
and this power options group could probably help you with that. So, wow, this is terrific. Yeah.
Great.
Can we get to your final recommendation, please?
Credit purchase agreement, I think, is the way to go. Less risk for the town.
How do you guys feel about that?
Can you share the spreadsheets that are underlying? Because I saw that a lot of the numbers were kind of embedded, so it was harder, like they were talking about earlier. It would be helpful to do some additional analysis on what's in there. You can share those.
Yeah, I can ask Select for those spreadsheets. Sure.
What's the timetable, Kate, for, I guess, put it this way, from which boards do you need votes of approval on the path? And I understand that the planning board has already begun a process.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the timetable? Because that'll help guide us as to whether we should defer any votes tonight, which personally I think probably we would want to, so that we can get a little bit more information on some of the questions that have been asked.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is we want to make sure that it's on the warrant. And so Steve and I worked earlier to amend the warrant language to include both the purchase or the credit. So I think that's the most important step tonight is.
But we don't need to choose between those two right now.
No,
As the
well,
warrant goes.
I guess you could do two things. I don't think Rick got back to us whether we can combine into one article, but there's an option to certainly add an additional article. That option remains open until the meeting on the 31st, at which you can reopen. You're going to vote to close the warrant tonight. You can vote to reopen the warrant, add the article. We have to have it posted by the constable by April 2nd. At that date, no more changes can be made. So, yeah, so you would have an additional couple weeks to come to a decision, and then ultimately, like, the decision to be made whether to, would be helpful to know whether you would like to pursue the lease or purchasing option on the 31st meeting would be helpful, but an actual recommendation for town meeting approval could wait until the day of town meeting and could be taken at any meeting in between the 31st and the 9th, up to on the 9th for that matter.
But we'd only need to reopen the warrant on the 31st to add a new article if town council advises us that we can't have a combined article as presently written.
Well, no, you would still have to because right now, as presently written, when the warrant closes, is for the lease program. That's kind of the program that we've been working towards over the last number of months. If that could change or can change, we have the wording for another article that would allow the purchase, so you could have both on there. So if both were to pass, you would then have the authority, the select board would have the authority to move forward with either scenario in the future. But we have not heard back yet from Rick whether it's possible to combine that into one article. So right now, the way it's written is only the option to, you could amend the warrant today to include a second article, or not a second article, but another solar article that included both, so it would have two separate ones, and then look to pull it out. But there is some flexibility in there. I mean, there's a bunch of variables.
So, and I want to open it up to any, members of either board who want to comment, but just to sort of, think about the practicalities. So if we were to close the warrant, we are going to close the warrant tonight, but if we vote to close the warrant tonight without making changes to the solar panel article it's presently drafted, which is the credit lease one, and then some of the good questions that have been raised, and some of them have sort of been resolved with Kate and Norman's help tonight, but I think there's still a few additional pieces of analysis that some of us want to look at. If that information were provided between now and the 31st, and if the Finance Committee or the Select Board, through that additional analysis, decided that it would rather move towards the purchase option versus what right now seems to be what the expectation is, which is the lease credit option, then we could take action on the 31st to make a change. Maybe it's probably not putting both of them forward, I wouldn't think, because I don't think we necessarily want to confuse the annual town meeting and make them choose. I think there would be a recommendation as to which one. So basically right now we're on lease, and we would move forward with that, but with the opportunity to change it based on new information that would be provided to you before the 31st, and the 31st would be the date by which we would need to make that change if we do make a change. Is that acceptable as a process?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do any select board members have comments or questions about this?
I would just echo the fact that, we certainly, on the 31st, ought to have our decision one way or another. I don't want to go to town meeting with two.
Right. Okay. Bob?
Can I step back and ask one other question? There were two presentations sent out, the numbers don't match. Is this the one that is final, or what happened in between?
I read the report wrong, so I went back to Select and changed it this afternoon.
I mean, I'm willing to vote to move the lease forward tonight. Is there a reason why, I don't understand about, why wait till the 31st?
Well, I mean, Sarah, I think you were asked to see some of the spreadsheets. I think it sounds like most of your points, Jared, were satisfied with respect to some of the, liability risks or transition and so on. Finn?
So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that usually that the cost to purchase this is significantly, the return is significantly better. And the fact that it is not here is confusing to me. I was looking at investing and building something 7 times this size in the state of Maine on the coast, and our cost per kilowatt was half of what they're offering here. It's a different state. 3 years ago, times have changed, I understand that, but it seems like we're locked into this particular arrangement with Select and the price that they're offering. And so, my concern here is that perhaps there could have been a savings, could have been a reduced cost for the purchase, but that doesn't seem to be the option. We have option A or we have option B. There is no option C of going and trying to find something else. So, I'm a little concerned about that, but it's not a factor. We're not going to go out and rebid this in the time that we have. So, all these options are positive to the bottom line of the town. They will save us money. And so, if I had to choose one or the other, the lease seems better for all the other reasons that you've talked about, the soft reasons and the risk reasons. So I would be willing to vote for it for the lease option at this point.
Can I ask?
Would not,
Oh,
just
go ahead, Bob.
we really need to look at the numbers. No, it may be fine to go with the lease, but I mean, I think we need to do the homework.
Sarah had a question for us. I think.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, I mean, we're talking about these 2 options, but there is the option to just not do the project at all, right, as well? Or,
Except.
or the sunk
Very
cost?
first slide, we're supposed to be whatever by
Carbon neutral by 2040.
And this does like 60% of it.
I'm just asking if we are trying to think about, basically if we take a loan out for this, does that overextend us and then we can't take a loan out for something that may be a more immediate priority? So are we taking kind of that decision into play as well? Or are we saying, like, this is kind of the decision is a done deal?
The loan would only be, would only matter for the purchase option, right? We would actually go out and take a loan to purchase all those ourselves, but with the lease option, there is no leveraging of the town. There's no debt offered.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Maybe a quick
Let's spell
question
that
for
out.
me on space. How much is this baseball field used? My kids aren't old enough to use it. Like, is it just not used at all?
It's a backup to a backup, I think.
Yep, so we did contact the Little League because we were very concerned about taking away a field for the Little League. It is a backup for the girls' softball. So when they have, some years they might have more enrollees. The fields that were just redone at the Bucher School are softball fields now. So we did talk to Little League and we explained the project, and they didn't love losing a field. And of course, we wouldn't want to do that, but they did weigh the project and said it'd be okay.
And another question is, it came up last meeting, 2 meetings ago. There's some discussion about a renovation of the DPW or a rebuild of the DPW building at some point down the line. Maybe it's not next year, but a couple of years from now. Does this project limit our options for kind of a less impactful kind of upgrade to that space?
The only thing that we have seen that could be an issue is of course, we're going to do the engineering and design work on that area, but when I was with the DPW director, there is a spot that he thought a new building would be perfect to go to, which we had the cables buried going through that area. So we're meeting with the engineers next week to move where the cables would go so they could get out to Grapevine Road. So there should be no adverse impacts to DPW.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, I just was to Finn's concern between lease and purchasing, if we could take advantage of having Norman here. Maybe he can comment. I don't know what the differences could be, but maybe he could comment to that, Norman.
Yeah, thank you. Just anecdotally, most of the projects that we've moved forward, and we've done projects with over 100 communities in Massachusetts, have been through the lease option. There are very few communities that have stepped forward to purchase the systems. And I think what we hear from our customers when they choose the lease has to do with risk management. Is the community willing to shoulder the risk, or should the risk be carried by the experts, in this case, Select? The second issue has to do with institutional capacity. Most communities say that they don't have the institutional capacity to manage such projects. Very complex, but at the same time, very impactful on the community. And then last but not least, it's simply the question of maximizing the benefits to the community. You receive energy, you address sustainability issues at no upfront cost to the community. This is what we have heard from communities. The communities that have opted for the purchase simply have the financial capital to do that. These are larger communities with bigger budgets and with larger savings in their back pockets. These are also communities that have established institutions that can manage these projects. This could be communities that already have a municipal light plant. It could be communities that already have a larger relationship with the utilities through a sustainability manager or an energy manager that is funded both by the community as well as the utilities. And then last but not least, we have had instances where communities do find grant funds to complement what they may have in their coffers. So again, just experience-wise, most of our customers, and we've dealt with over 100 communities, they go for the lease option. There are very few communities that have purchased this. And I just hazard a guess, I don't think there'll be more than 10.
Great, that's very helpful. Thank you. Are there any additional questions from board members before I ask the public if they have questions? Let's see, are there any members of the public in person who have questions or comments on this project? Seeing none, anyone online?
No.
Great. So I think where we are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kate and Steve, but I think the only vote that really must be taken tonight that pertains to this is the select board vote to close the warrant, right?
Yes.
That'll be later.
Mm-hmm.
And if that vote is taken, it will be a warrant that includes the lease option, but not the purchase option. And then if there's to be a change on that course of action, that would need to take place by the 31st, 2 weeks from tonight, when I know we're meeting, and I don't know whether the FinCom has a scheduled meeting, but it could if, at that night or some earlier evening. Any questions that haven't come up tonight already that Kate hasn't noted, you could email Kate. Anyone can email Kate and ask, I'd like more clarification on this or the other. And then there'll need to eventually be votes by both the select board and the FinCom on whether to recommend the warrant article. And that just needs to happen anytime up before town meeting, including them from town meeting floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that means unless anyone has a wish to vote on anything this evening, it doesn't appear to be necessary, except for we'll vote to close the warrant later. All right, I think that's everything on this. Unless there's anything else, Kate, you wanted to add on this project?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we're going to ask you to stay so that you can address agenda item P. We're going to take that out of order.
Great.
Discussion and potential vote to comment on MEPA project EEA number 17047 to reconstruct and extend runway 16-34 and construct taxiway E at Beverly Regional Airport in Beverly, Danvers, and Wenham.
Thank you. And I'd also like to bring up Phil Colarusso. Phil is our Conservation Commission Chair, if that's all right with you, Chairman?
Yes.
All right.
Need the FinCom anymore?
Welcome. I don't think so, do we?
Nope.
Can we adjourn that?
You can't adjourn.
Look for a motion to adjourn from the
So moved.
FinCom at 7:36. Looking for a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Not hearing any discussion. We'll vote. Finn will vote aye.
Jared, aye.
Bob, aye. David, aye.
Sarah, I.
That is all five of us
Great.
to close the meeting.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing all of you.
Thank you all for your time.
And then just real quick, Kate and Phil, before you get started, in front of you, Select Board, tonight, there is a letter drafted that came out somewhat late, given that the pressing time. We sent it around today. If you want to just take a moment and read it, if you haven't
read
done
it.
so, all right. Just so you understand what they're discussing and what they're asking you to do in joining with the Wenham Conservation Commission and submitting this letter asking for an extension.
Has Phil seen it?
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
Phil and Kate
Okay.
wrote it.
So my only question would be, are you okay with it?
Okay with the letter or okay with the project?
Okay with our letter?
Yes, okay with the letter.
We have the Select Board's name on it too, so you guys, you have to be okay with it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
I read what Phil wrote. Did somebody else wrote something?
Yeah, contributed as well.
I mean, and I'm sure if
Very well
Deborah
written.
was here,
Yeah, she comments, you're right, she's not here tonight, but she commented, she is in favor of it and,
in favor of us sending this.
of the letter, and said it
Yeah.
was
the
extremely,
planes go right
extremely
over-
well-written and
right over
impressive.
our house.
so. Yeah, no, she's in favor and liked the letter a lot, but she can't be here.
So,
Can we just hold on a minute? Okay, so I think everyone has had the opportunity to review the letter. And Kate and Phil, what more would you like to say about this?
I think what we would love to have is joint support. So this letter can come from the Conservation Commission, or it can come from the Select Board and the Conservation Commission, which would be our preference. Our next Concom meeting is March 23rd, and comments are due March 27th. So we'd basically need to know if you're in support of signing this letter tonight, if you have any questions on the letter, or if you just want the Conservation
this Wenham
Commission.
Select Board letter.
Yes.
The current,
I'm fine with it.
the current deadline is for commenting is March 27th, but we're asking for an additional 21 days?
We are, yes.
Okay. All right, so this letter asks for 21 extra days beyond March 27th to provide public comment to MIPA. And it also previews some concerns. Right.
As much as we could say, the document's over 200 pages, so myself, Phil, and Ken Winokur, our vice chair, went over the document, and those are the comments we have so far, but we'd like some more time.
Okay.
And we're gonna reach out to our colleagues, in neighboring communities to see if, because as I think they highlighted, there were only 3 people in the hearing, and they were all from Wenham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was myself and Phil and Ken were the only ones there, and did you say?
I contacted Beverly Concom, they had no idea about the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that, those communications with other towns would not be to sign on to this letter, but to contribute to the public comment process?
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Any members of the board have questions or comments? Okay. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this?
Ken Winter, I would just like to add, there are some environmental issues here, but that's not the big fight, and we can't rely on those. We're really hoping that this board can really reach out to the other communities and see if we can mobilize the public against this expansion of the airport, because it's really outgrowing its capacity. And living on Lord's Hill, a lot of people are getting noise well, not all the time, that would be an exaggeration, but very loud, much larger jets. So hoping to really kind of be proactive in that trying to seek some support from the other communities to start this.
Thank you. And that's Ken Whitaker, the Vice Chair of the Concom and a former member of the Select Board. So we're fortunate to have the three of you, working on this. I know you all have a lot of expertise in this area, and you've drafted a very detailed and thoughtful letter, and Deirdre Parati, who's also been invested in this, I know has looked at it too, which is great. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Anyone on Zoom? No. Okay. All right, so I think I would entertain a motion of the Select Board to approve the signing of this 3-page letter that is in front of us this evening to be sent to the Executive Office of Energy Environmental Affairs, MEPA office, with respect to the proposed runway expansion at Beverly Airport.
Second. So moved.
And we get a second from Peter. Great. We'll take a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Thank you very
all.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
All right, that brings us back to item F. Discussion, is that right?
No, want to finish the ball field up? So we're halfway through. And
Oh,
back
yes,
on
right,
track.
yes, thank you. Yep, good. Right, we left Jason in the lurch there. So, item K, discussion and potential vote on installation of batting cages at Pingree Park. Jason, we left off with you. Appreciate your patience. What would you like to say about the batting cages?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's probably topical that this comes after the iron rail discussion. I think in short, Little League is certainly in favor of the iron rail project. We've talked with Rec Department as well as Kate, and what we want to do is replace in some way the facility, quote unquote, that we are losing for the softball girls in town with something that we think would be an appropriate fill-in for what they have, and that is this idea to create or build a batting cage, a singular batting cage, and that's important because the ones that are on the other end of Pingree Park are double batting cages. This would be a singular batting cage at the softball diamond at Black Field, adjacent to the wooded area, next to the field, kind of set back a bit, out of any walking path, out of the park as it is, without the field or without a cage there, so it wouldn't be impeding anything. It wouldn't impede the soccer field, soccer play. And what we really want to do is bring an advantage to the girls in town to have this there, because right now, if they want to use the cages at Pingree Park, they have to not only walk across Pingree Park to the other end where the Cheeseman baseball diamond is, but also lug their equipment to do the same thing. So what we would like to do is build and install a cage. You can see there on the screen, it would be set back behind the current stands that are there for the softball diamond and kind of slightly in front of where the scoreboard is. It will be one single tunnel. There will be, some small signage there. We've discussed with the abutter, the Beckman family. I think it's Dan Beckman. They are in approval of the project with us, so long as that the users of the cage are not, abusing the time frame in which we are using it. So to that effect, we do not have any plans to add any lighting to this cage. And there will be very clear signage that the cage is not to be used after dusk by anybody. It's our intent that this will be used by Hamilton Wenham Little League softball, and likely as well the JV high school softball team that will probably be using Black as a practice field if the varsity are on the new field over behind Miles River. We plan to pay for this project. We have the cage picked out. You see it on the screen right now. It is a much smaller profile than the one that is currently at Cheeseman Field. And that was actually a request of the rec board when we went in front of them to just maybe have it look a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. And we should be lined up to get this in by spring, pending the vote here for the select board. So really appreciate the opportunity to come in front of you guys today and present this, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions or comments from the board?
Nope.
Anything from the public? Anyone online?
There is one hand.
Okay.
Hi, Deb. You can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I feel like this is, given that the only abutter is the Beckman family and that they've agreed to this, it's a wonderful opportunity to further girls softball in our town.
That's great. Thank you very
Great
much.
point, Deb.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the installation of batting cages at Pingree Park per request from the Hamilton Wenham Little League in the location indicated in our packet, on the condition that there be no lights and that it be used during daytime hours.
I move to approve the installation of batting cages at Pingree Park per request from Hamilton Wenham Little League, and ensure that there are no lights ever included in Pingree Park.
So moved. Second, Gary.
All right, we'll take the roll. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. All right, thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate your time, and appreciate
you all.
the league's spearheading of this project.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right.
Just as note, the park is only open daylight to dusk anyhow, right?
Right. All right, so that moves us to item F, discussion and potential vote to finalize the 2026 annual town meeting warrant articles.
Yep, so there is one outstanding item here, that is the election, I forget the name of it, but to limit the participation in elected boards, the bylaw and special act. So if you could pull up, I did speak to Deirdre earlier this evening, and although she's the draft language of the election worker article. Oh, it's in can you get in the share drive? So one that says,
Just one here. Restrictions on.
so it should say Wenham, WEHM dash, right there. This is a draft that was worked on both with Lauren Goldberg and Chairman Ben Timon. And I did speak with Deirdre earlier tonight, and although she's not here to vote, she did express her support of this draft.
You good? All right.
Yes.
Yep, and just for the public, this limits the prohibition on dual membership to certain of the boards appointed and elected that the select board discussed at length in prior meetings. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, anybody in the public? Anyone online?
No, there's not.
All right, I would entertain a motion to include this proposed article in the 2026 annual town meeting warrant.
So moved by Gary.
Seconded by Peter.
All right, we'll take a roll. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. And then that brings us to the broader annual town meeting warrant. Does everyone feel as if we covered all of the warrant articles in our prior hearings?
I think so.
Yes. And no numbers changes for anybody, so I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, someone make a motion.
Move to close the warrant for the 2026 annual town meeting.
Second.
All right, we'll take a roll. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ben is yes. All right, that brings us to item I. Discussion regarding the sale of 40 Pleasant Street and whether the town wishes to exercise its right of first refusal on the sale, given the property's chapter land status. This is the select board's first discussion of this request. Votes may be taken.
Just quickly, so the town has adopted a policy on how to handle situations like this back in 2019. So, and one of which is that we have to reach out through the town administrator to all boards and committees that could have an interest in procuring this or have comment on, what to do with it otherwise. So, given the timing of this request and also the policy require it be brought before the select board at the next select board meeting, which is this one, we don't have a recommendation or comments yet for the board to review.
Okay. So just procedurally, you're recommending that no action be taken this evening, but that it could be taken at the next select board meeting once we have comments in hand?
Possibly, yes. The board has 120 days to act. And is Mr. McMahon here? So I don't know, he might want to add comment.
Great, yes, we have a letter from John McMahon, Sarah Dalrymple, Pleasant Street, and Mr. McMahon is here. If you'd like to come up to the podium and speak to the issue, we appreciate it.
Sure, thank you for having me. So John McMahon and my wife Sarah Dalrymple are at 40 Pleasant Street, and I actually have a correction to the letter I sent. I provided a copy to Michelle on the way in, and I have a few extra copies here. So some of you may know the chapter program is very complicated, and I'm not an attorney, but on legal advice, I rewrote a letter. I believe there's 2 off-ramps to chapter status. Before it actually phases out, we do the Chapter 61B, which is a year-long commitment. One of those avenues is an intent to sell, but we actually haven't listed our house. We don't have a buyer. I believe the other avenue is a intent to deconvert out of the chapter program. And I was advised that the town would have 30 days to decide if they wanted to exercise their option to purchase, which would require an appraisal. So that'd be separate from the old letter, which was the intent to sell, which is 120 days. So I just want to confirm that it is a intent to deconvert out of the program, and I believe that the 30-day policy applies there. But we're hoping to get that waived. Obviously, as we're looking to relocate as part of my job, and it adds a lot of complication to selling a property to have chapter status there. So I realize as part of that, exiting the program would be responsible for the rollback of taxes for the last year.
Questions or comments from Mr. McMahon? Okay, seeing none, anyone in public? Appreciate your time and your letter. We'll look for the amended letter as well, and
You have the current one in front of you. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the one, if it's a wet signature, then that's the current one. Yep.
Yep, we have that.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. I think that moves us to the next agenda item.
Well, not, I think amongst the 3 of us, amongst the board, discussion on this.
Sure. Yes.
So I think very important as the town water board is in a butter, and knowing that a water treatment plant may be in the future, that we ought to make sure that Ernest Ashley, that water board, and other, as we said, go through the whole process of seeing what other organizations in the town think about this.
Yep.
Also, I'd have the question is, if we're going to deconvert, essentially, we're moving from a 120 to a 30-day timeline?
I don't,
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I don't believe, I think the 30 days, again, I don't believe that to be the case. I think the 30 days is how much time you have to have the appraisal done once you commit to having an intent to purchase or negotiate. But again, I'm not an expert in chapter, and we'll confirm that.
Yeah, the town council can.
Yeah.
This on that. Okay. All right. I think that moves us along. Item J, discussion of potential vote on the Cemetery Commission Research Project proposal for Wenham's 250th anniversary celebration.
Is Bill Wilson here?
Yes.
So Bill's coming up. So basically, this is a, I guess, quasi-request, or at least a notification at the very least, from the Wenham Cemetery Commission that they would like to work through the high school history department to work on the project that's outlined in the letter before you. And he would like to, give a brief overview to the select board and kind of get your either formal or informal blessings on moving forward with this project on behalf of the town.
Great. Bill, are you online? There he is.
Can you hear us, Bill?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Thanks.
We have Kristen Harnish here as well, another commissioner here, who is the force behind this particular project there. I'm not sure if you've all had a chance to read it, but just a quick summary there. It's something we're doing, the Cemetery Commission, to honor the 27 American Revolutionary War veterans that are buried in Burial Hill. Kristen's idea here is to get some help from the history department at Hamilton Wenham and focus on two of the individuals that are buried up there, Billy Porter, Esquire, attorney, and Samuel Oliver, who are intimately involved in the Revolutionary War. The things we want to concentrate on are the events and conditions in Wenham, what was going on in Massachusetts, what was going on in the battles in Lexington and Concord, fight for independence. We want to know how the families in Wenham were living, the support that they had from their wives, children, whatever, and then how the Revolutionary War veterans were treated after the war. So this is a research project for the 250th anniversary of America for Wenham that Kristen would head up, and she would organize this with the Hamilton Wenham School to do the study and to reduce it down to a paper that could be published in the local paper or other types of things there. We would use resources in the Wenham Museum, town halls, cemetery records, so forth and so on. So I think it's a kind of a straightforward project. We weren't sure which way to go. We were trying to reach out with the 250th anniversary of America Wenham committee, which is not available, but we're reaching out to the select board to make sure you're aware and to get your approval before we go forward.
That's a marvelous idea. Thank you to you and Kristen for preparing this and presenting it to us. Do any members of the board have comments or questions?
I think it's great.
Yeah, certainly great, and it seems like we don't have the enthusiasm for a big townwide project, so perhaps we need to rely on individual committees, and I know the veterans are working on stuff, that this is the route to go, so fully support it.
Great. All right.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, there are two hands up.
Oh, yes, okay.
Let's see. Deb Evans.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Kristen.
Here's Kristen now, great.
Kristen Harnish, thank you, Bill, very much for outlining that project. We just want to thank you for your consideration, and I'm excited to spearhead it if you go ahead and approve it, and we'll keep you posted if that's the case.
Great. Thank you very much. Deb?
I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can.
So I wanted to go back to the 40 Pleasant Street question. I didn't feel like I had a chance to kind of raise my hand. Is there a place to do that now?
We'll take your comment on it, sure.
So I think it's important to note that this property's been in 61B for a year or less, and that the town's plate seems, from my perspective, is full with both the Cherry Street and the Topsfield Road targeted projects, plus an operational override. So I have a question about timing and process. So have those things been taken into consideration with your vote to delay this, or is there something else that I should know?
So we didn't take any action on it because town departments are still compiling their comments regarding this piece of land, including the water board, because we'll want to hear from them, given that the property is near their property and their needs going forward. So I think we're still in the information gathering phase.
Okay, so another question or comment is that you as a select board have the right to say, no, we can't do this now, or you could say, no, we can't do, yes or no, in what period of time?
Well, it's the property owner believes that the deconversion is subject to a 30-day time period. We're not convinced that that's the case, and so we're going to go to town council to see whether all of the options are under the 120-day decision period, which we believe to be the case. But if any one of the options is subject to a 30-day period, then we'll get that advice and we'll act within that period.
Okay. No, I'm an interested bystander, but I thought there were two different off-ramps. One is that you could have said no tonight, and the other is you could have put it to the other boards and committees, whose plates are already full.
Yeah, the select board adopted a policy back in 2019 that outlines how they need to approach a situation like this. And one of the requirements among many is that through the board, they instruct the town administrator to gather comments from all boards and committees that would be have interest or stakeholder in this, as long as staff recommendations, and report back to the board. And that has not been done yet. So they can't act on it until they see those comments.
All right. Thank you very much. And we are now ready to proceed to...
One question here before we proceed.
Speaking.
Can we just close out our
Oh, yes.
Our project here with some feedback from the select board, whether to proceed or good luck or whatever?
No, thank you for that reminder, Bill. So I'd entertain a motion with respect to the Cemetery Commission Research Project.
Move to approve the Cemetery Commission Research Project proposal for Wenham's 250th anniversary celebration.
Second.
We'll take a roll call. Peter?
Yep.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to item M. Request for exemptions under Mass General Laws, Chapter 268A, Section 19B1 from the following individuals: Mimi McDonald and Bonnie Anderson, and this pertains to disclosures from two HDC members who would be voting on a project that is within 300 feet of those members' residences, and it's simply a public disclosure that they would be making about their where they live and their proximity to the subject property, but it would enable them to vote on the project if they so desire, now that they have given disclosures. Does that cover it, Jeff?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, all right, so, I think. What's that?
So you a lawyer.
Are there any comments or questions?
No, it's just a question that we decide, is this a blanket or are we naming the particular matter at hand in the document we need?
They're going to amend it to name the matter at hand, which is some sort of an application that's been submitted by the Reeds of Main Street.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion as printed in the agenda.
Move to grant exemptions under the General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 19B1 for the following individuals so that they may participate in voting for the Historic District Commission for an application from Mr. Reed, i.e. Meany McDonald and Bonnie Newsom.
Second. All right, we'll take a roll call. Peter?
Yep.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. That moves us to item N, which I think, Gary, you might be recusing yourself from.
These
Bail out on this one.
All right.
These pictures are awesome.
Yes, yeah. So this is discussion and potential vote to allow the relocation of the Cheeseman Memorial located at Pingree Park and to accept the gift of funds from the Cheeseman family to fund the relocation project.
So what this
That is so much bigger than what was originally proposed, which is great.
Yeah, right. So this is basically, it's the Cheeseman Memorial exists in Pingree Park, as most everyone's aware. This is to relocate it behind home plate as illustrated here. It is a much more visible and central location where it's currently located now. It does not get much foot traffic or visibility. So the Veterans Committee and Cheeseman family have reached out and would like to coordinate and fund this project. It's something we tried to get off the ground last year. We're unable to do so, but are hoping to get it squared away by the summertime this year, should the select board choose.
No,
I think you can.
It's okay. That's just to open the meeting, but you and I can vote on this. It would be a valid vote.
Okay. So,
Great. I would just comment, just for members of the public who I think most people are aware, but this is a memorial that is in honor of Alan Cheeseman, a Wenham resident who gave his life for the country during
in Southeast Asia.
Has there's a very there's a lot of moving detail about his service that people can research, and this is an important memorial for the town. Peter, do you want to make a motion?
I move to allow the relocation of the Cheeseman Memorial located at Pingree Park and to accept a gift of funds from the Cheeseman family to fund the relocation project.
I'll second it, and we'll take the roll. Peter?
Yep.
Ben is yes. That passes 2-0. And that moves us to item O, which Member Cheeseman can return for. Item O is discussion and potential vote on the disposal of town-owned land parcel map 7, lot 38A. The parcel has been requested for disposal to allow the opportunity for purchase by 2 abutting property owners in the town of Wenham, who I think are here this evening, but Steve will get the introduction from you.
Yeah, so just a quick recap. So the select board a number of months ago chose to dispose of a parcel immediately adjacent to the 123 Pleasant, with the owners and residents of the town here, to develop that parcel and there's some difficulty in getting water, at least in an economically feasible way to the parcel. And there is a water main located in the parcel map 7, lot 38A, which is in this map above you at 38A. Also, so the request to purchase this as a way to get water to their primary parcel has come through, and also an abutter has requested the sale of the parcel. Back when the select board chose to dispose of, I believe it was map 7 lot 53, they had asked that a working group be put together to review town-owned land. The working group has not completed their review yet. However, we plan that there will likely be at least a large grouping of parcels that will be deemed as, of no use to the town, landlocked. Primary users would be the abutters, and we're expecting this to be on there. However, no formal recommendation has come, but we're, hopefully within the month or so, there will be a recommendation one way or the other. But the request came in. We have done some internal research outside of the working group, and pulled our planning director and our building commissioner, as well as our land use director, Kate Mallory. They've all, essentially arrived to the same conclusion that this would be a parcel that they would recommend disposal of. And in similar vein, the restrictions with the other one, that it must be combined if possible. In this case, one abutter could combine it with their primary lot. One abutter likely could not, given that there's a paper street kind of passing between them. However, the restriction that no improvement could ever be placed on the parcel would remain, just like it was with 53, unless it was combined, and then they could use the additional square footage for any setbacks or needed zoning requirements. So this request is before the select board. The select board could decide to move forward with the disposition tonight, or it can wait for the working group's recommendation.
Which you said is expected?
Probably with about a month or so. Yeah.
Would you like to speak?
Hello again.
Hi.
I'm Meg Brandwine. I'm at 123 Pleasant Street, so we were the folks who came back last year and purchased 53 after it had gotten released by the select board, so thank you for that. In doing sort of our due diligence to try and make this 123 our residence, we've run into issues with the Water Commission and trying to figure out how we get town water to there. Unfortunately, due to the setup of this very small neighborhood, there's not really a great opportunity to put well water there to try and be far enough away from everyone's septic system. So town water was our option. And in talking with Eric Mansfield at the Water Commission, he very kindly went down there and sort of let us know where our options were for water, because our parcel has no water whatsoever. And he said that there is a shutoff from 18 Longfellow, which is 38A, or at the bend of Pleasant Street where it becomes paved to dirt road. And so kind of going between those, we kind of went, okay, what's the most reasonable way to get it there? The 28A was closer than having to dig up and disrupt all of Pleasant Street and Pleasant Pond in order to get water there. So that's why I'm coming before you today. We have, since I've met with you last year, we've gone back to our architects, builders. We're just about ready to go back to Concom and zoning board to kind of get everything together, and this is that last piece. So that's why I'm sort of asking to see if you guys can release it before the commission kind of gets together in a couple months to make their decisions there.
Questions or comments from the board?
Did you say there's a working group working on this?
Yeah.
On all properties?
On all properties. There won't be a decision on all properties, but I think the expectation is that there's a decent sized handful of properties that can be kind of taken off the top, and that don't require much discussion. And the expectation is this is one of them. And for a matter of fact, pretty much all the parcels up on the Longfellow Road area are probably ripe for disposal to help organize, the neighborhood where it's kind of has a lot of town-owned land and encroachment and things like that going on. So that would clean up a lot of things.
You said there was another interested party in this as well, which
yes, they reached out similar time to when Miss Brandwine Miss Brandwine did. And they are, I believe, on the call. Is it Jessica Baker?
Yeah, I think she's there too.
All right. Ms. Baker, would you like to speak? We'll bring you over onto the panelist side in case you would.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So Jessica Baker, 16 Longfellow. I've been a resident here for 20 years. We've been maintaining the property, and we have reached out to find out how to build an ADU for my mother. She's actually staying in our dining room currently, so trying to work with possibly building an ADU. As you know, our neighborhood is very tricky, so if that's not a possibility, we'd like to purchase the land and put something on there for her.
So on the map.
We also want to work with friends and make sure they can get water to their property, so we're more than willing to, work as a neighborhood to get this done for both parties. And I think it would be in the best interest of the town to work with the neighborhood in light of, our history. It would be really nice to work together. Thank you.
Just a quick question, Terry. So the Baker property is which number up there?
It's on the other side of 738A. I don't have my glasses on.
Is it
so I can't
33?
see.
I think it's 33.
33, okay.
Yeah, they're right next door.
Right. They abut 738A.
So, question, if we were to vote to dispose of the property and put it up for sale, I'm assuming that the protocol would be that we would ask for bids and...
Yep. Yeah, you would, probably at the next meeting, we would come back and you would have to assign Belinda, the custodian, because you just assigned her as a custodian of the one parcel 53, and you would also have to assign a minimum bid amount, which last time we went with the assessed value, however, it doesn't have to be that.
Has the treasurer done the research to know the origin of this property?
Yes. Well, from the research that she's done and our tax taking attorney, is that the select board has the authority to dispose of this through the same method which is an auction as 53.
Okay. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to say about this, or any recommendations as to whether we should consider acting this evening versus wait until the working group?
Absolutely. I would concur with Rich Maloney, Kate, and Margaret. I think you said, it's of no value to the town. It's not developable. The slopes are very steep in that neighborhood, and its frontage is a paper street. So it really only benefits the two abutters, either the Brandwines on the other side of the paper street or the Bakers. So
Make sure it's both. Sorry to interject.
Oh,
We're
no.
going to make sure it's both too, because it sounds like it's becoming a bidding thing, and we've spoken to Matt and Jess privately, and we're going to workshop some way to either, whoever acquires the lot, to either deed the water access, so there's not going to be some sort of contentious bidding war.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to take some of the air out of the balloon there.
Sure.
Because I text Matt, this morning, he showed me a picture of a derelict tree that just fell on town land. It would behoove you guys to get rid of that land, because somebody's gonna have to clean it up, and it's quite a sizable tree. It literally fell last night with the wind, so he wasn't even able to come. Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, because he's working nights, but there's quite a large tree on that town-owned land right now.
So the minimum bid would probably be the assessed value, which is $26,500 as an undevelopable parcel.
Okay. Thank
Similar to the other.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Does anyone wish to make a motion?
Move to have the town dispose of the town-owned land, which is parcel map 7, lot 38A.
Second.
All right, we'll take the roll, Peter.
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and your advocacy.
And great for you guys to work together.
We've been working this entire time, so just off the, whatever, on the record, it doesn't matter. We're 3 years into this bill. We're not going anywhere. We have no intention on going anywhere, so it's gonna get done. And we've befriended the Giovanucci's and the Bakers, and we've really tried to, like, we basically, our motto is just kindness and patience.
So,
We're gonna win on kindness and patience.
Jessica Baker, that's Dan Baker's.
No, this is Matt Baker. There's two Bakers. The Bakers to our, if you're looking at our property to the left, and then there's Matt and Jess, so there's two Baker families. I don't know.
Not related.
I
No,
no, Jess.
Who knew?
Jess?
Yeah, no relation. It's really confusing that there's two Baker families, but
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. And that will move us to old business. Let me just make sure we're not missing anything. We did the runway. There's no old business, and there's no further new business. Is that right?
Yeah, just scheduling.
Just scheduling. So we are meeting on the 31st. We know that. That's in 2 weeks. And then we have the warrant hearing scheduled for April 6th, and of course, town meeting scheduled for April 9th. Does that mean that we need not meet on Tuesday, April 7th?
I would say not.
I just think traditionally, we've met between town meeting and the election.
Okay.
So it'd be the
14th.
reschedule.
The election is the when?
9, 10, 11, 12. It'd be the 14th?
Yeah, the election is what, the 16th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so meet on that.
Right. So why don't we do so April 14th and April 28th? Because that also skips April school vacation, so that's good because some of us are going to be.
And we'll, if something comes up, we always have the meeting at town meeting.
Right.
beforehand.
Right. Yep.
And we could do some business on the 6th as well, if needed. We could post it as such, since we'll all be.
I have the warrant.
Yeah.
All right. So regular select board meeting at 6:30 in 2 weeks from this evening, March 31st. Then we have the warrant hearing already scheduled for Monday, April 6th. Town meeting Thursday, April 9th. And then our next regular select board meeting will be 6:30, April 14th, and 6:30, 2 weeks later, April 28th.
Have a double birthday party then, the 27th?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I know. Exactly. Maybe we should just do it on that day.
That day, right?
That's, you know, so.
Are we done?
I think we're done. We don't probably need to plan May quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I move that the March 17th Select Board meeting adjourn at 8:23 p.m.
Second, Gary.
Roll. Peter.
Yep.
Gary.
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Excellent. Thank you very much.